Following the debate, I caught up with the Education Minister for an end-of-term chat. I began by asking her to justify the differential between funding for primary pupils here and other UK regions.
There is a disparity in funding between primary and post-primary, and that is something we need to deal with, but we need to deal with it in a way that doesn't disadvantage our secondary schools, and that's who would be disadvantaged at the moment. I said in the debate today, and people will have heard me, we need more money invested in education if we are really to deal with underachievement and disadvantage and get money into the early years. Some of the figures that were stated actually misrepresent the funding, because what they didn't take account of is the 32 million that we're putting in for teaching principals to give them 2 days a week, classroom assistants in every P1 and P2. So really what they were just looking at was the amount per child in primary school, but we do have a lot of extra funding that's targeted directly at primary schools.
You've made underachievement one of your big themes and have used it as part of the argument for the reform of the selection process and the post-primary transfer process. But what some of the people today were saying is this is where the focus should be, in primary schools, pumping more money in.
Well, of course the focus should be on primary schools, but equally I said very clearly, and I was directing my remarks at the unionist benches, because they're listening very carefully to the primary principals, and they say the teachers' unions in relation to underachievement. I've asked them to listen to the primary principals and teachers' unions in relation to selection, because the two go hand in hand. If you look at the OECD, if you look at any of the international research, they say if you have a selective system, you're going to widen the gap earlier and you're going to have a longer tail of disadvantage. And that's what we have. And what I've also said to the unionist politicians, go into your constituencies, talk to the secondary schools in your constituencies, talk to the primary schools, talk to the young lads and girls that we are failing, and ask them what is turning them off the system. I've talked and I've been in every single sector, in every single part of the north, and I'm hearing what it is. And I'm hearing from teachers that they spend weeks picking up the children after they get their 11 plus result.
Well, it's now the end of term. Are we going to move into another school year without that big issue being resolved?
I've brought forward very clear proposals. People have claimed they didn't have clarity. They now have clarity. They're compromise interim proposals, time-bound in relation to academic selection, but I don't believe academic selection is the way forward. I'm on record, as people will know, on that, and the proposals I've brought forward will bring about an end to academic selection. I'm engaging with all different sectors. I brought my proposals to the executive. People called for me to. I brought them. They didn't deal with them at the executive. I've now requested that there's a further dedicated executive meeting, and I look forward to that meeting. But this issue has to be resolved, and the DUP need to understand that there are many people in their community, the vast majority of educationalists, want change in the system, and know there has to be change. We cannot continue with the failed system that we have now.
And are you confident that that meeting, at which your proposals and perhaps others will be discussed around that executive table, will take place?
I want to legislate for my proposals. If that doesn't happen, well then I have to look at other ways. This is the last 11 plus in November, thankfully. That is concentrating the minds, and that's focusing the minds. You can already see the vast majority of grammar schools are accepting there needs to be change. It's a small group, a minority group. Out of 226 post-primary schools, 31 have set their hearts against change. I would say to them, we need change in our system. They need to put the needs of the child at the heart of it, rather than the needs of their institution.
And will you be back as Education Minister in the new school year? Because there's been some speculation that you won't.
I'm here for the long haul. In my life, I've worked on very difficult issues, as people will know, and this is one issue that I'm going to see through. I've learnt a lesson a long time ago. I don't believe most of what I believe in papers. Papers have their agenda. I don't set policy by newspapers or by media agenda.